Hi, children. It's Friday afternoon, April the 3rd. Yes, that's right. And today I'm going to read you a story that I wrote a few years ago, and I did about 5 paintings. The picture books that we read often have 20 or 30 paintings, but I did 5 to this story, and I'll change them as we get to the next one. Excuse me. Da 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 da. Get my voice right. I also wanted to say that this story was inspired, and that means what made me write it, what gave me the idea to write it, was watching the children at White Pony School playing firefighter in the sandboxes. And I can't remember how that led to this story, but somehow just seeing them every day playing firefighter gave me this idea. And this story is called Albert. And as you can see, it's about, uh, wait, you can't see my hand? It's about a dragon named Albert. Here it goes. Albert. Albert the dragon grew up in a cave in City Park. The cave was way up near the top of a hill, overlooking the edge of the park. And across the street from the park was the fire station. Albert loved watching the firefighters as they polished their shiny red engines. He loved hearing the sounds of the sirens as they raced out to chase fires. Sometimes he would even follow them, flying way up in the sky, so that he could watch the firefighter heroes and heroines as they saved people's lives and property. Day and night, the only thing Albert could think about was that when he grew up, he would be a firefighter too. Let's see. At last, sorry, there we go. At last the day came when Albert was old enough to apply for a job. He was so excited the night before that he could hardly sleep. And after breakfast, he walked across the street to the fire station. Good morning, smiled the young dragon to the man behind the counter. My name is Albert. Good morning, Albert, said the man brightly. I'm Chief Eddie. What can I do for you? I'm here to apply for a job, said Albert. But suddenly, Chief Eddie frowned. Why are you frowning? Asked Albert. I am frowning, Albert, said Chief Eddie, because I'm afraid there's no way that a dragon could become a firefighter. We put out fires. You breathe fire. You seem like a very nice young dragon, but it just would not be safe. Leaving the fire station, Albert felt miserable. All his life, the only thing he'd ever wanted to be was a fireman. Now all his plans were ruined. He didn't feel like going back to his cave. He didn't feel like doing anything. Finally, he just started flying. He flew and he flew, and he was crying the whole time that he flew. Now it so happened that, without knowing it, Albert was flying straight north toward the North Pole. As he flew, the weather got cooler and cooler. And after a while, the leaves on the trees changed color because he was so far north that it already looked like autumn. Finally, he was so far north that deep snow covered everything. At last, Albert came down at the edge of a great forest. Far in the distance, he could see what looked like a town. Now, this town, Frozen Dog, was the farthest north town of any town in the whole world. And it was so cold there that the people had a problem. The fires in their fireplaces kept freezing and going out. This was a very big problem because, in order to keep their homes warm and to cook their food, the people had to keep a fire going all the time. When the fires froze, so did the people. Well, Albert started walking toward the town. The people of Frozen Dog had never seen a dragon before, but they had read about dragons, so they knew what Albert was when they saw him coming. By the time he entered the town, they were all lined up along both sides of the street to welcome him. One of them, a short, fat man in a black suit, stepped forward and held out his hand. "I'm Mayor Bainbridge," he said very loudly. Albert still felt very sad. He'd been walking with his head down, and he bumped right into the mayor. But then he took the mayor's outstretched hand and shook it. "Hello, Mr. Mayor," he said. "My name is Albert." "Welcome to Frozen Dog," said Mayor Bainbridge. "We, the citizens of this town, have a question that we'd like to ask you, Albert." "A question?" said Albert. "For me? Well, go ahead. What is it?" "Is it true, Albert," asked the mayor, "that you dragons really breathe fire?" Albert almost started crying again right there. "Oh no," he was thinking, "they're not even going to let me in their town." But he had been taught when he was small that a dragon always tells the truth, so he said quietly, "Yes, Mr. Mayor, we do." "Well, if that's the case, Albert," said Mayor Bainbridge, "then we would like to invite you to stay here in Frozen Dog and be our firemen." "Your fireman?" said Albert. "But the fire chief down where I used to live, he told me a dragon can never be a fireman." "Oh, down there that may be true," said the mayor. "But up here things are a little bit different. We need more fire, not less. The kind of fireman we need is one who knows how to start fires. You can sit in the firehouse that we will build for you, Albert. And when someone calls you, you can fly over to their house and breathe into the fireplace. And the people will be warm and snug again." Albert could scarcely believe what he was hearing. "Could I have a big red hat?" he asked. "And a pole to slide down?" "The brightest red hat and the shiniest, slipperiest pole we can find," said the mayor. "Well, gosh," said Albert, as big, wet dragon Tears of joy began to slide down both sides of his face. A dragon's dream can come true after all. And he stayed there in Frozen Dog, keeping the people safe and warm. The end.